Hello, I'm Calvin Morris, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Shannara Chronicles. Now, like my Doctor Who and Gotham reviews, this is a spoiler-heavy review, so if you haven't seen the show, I will be talking about story elements that may ruin the story for you. With that being said, let's talk about the good, let's talk about the bad, the things I liked, the things I didn't. Let's review the Shannara Chronicles. And let's get right into it. So, the opening pan, we see the Earth, and this is set in a post-apocalyptic world. Not a post-apocalyptic, a post-post. I don't know what the term for that is. I don't know. The Earth was gone into a post-apocalyptic society, and then has evolved from there. It's now lush, green, and teeming with life. So it's on the other side of it. So again, I don't know what the term for that is. So let's just go with double post-apocalyptic. So it's set way off in the future, and we get to see crumbling buildings, and we get to see lush forests, and we get to see vehicles and things like that. They're all smashed up and beaten up and rusted, and I feel like the production quality of this show is on par with Game of Thrones, definitely. And it's very difficult to say that, you know. Game of Thrones really did set a very high bar with its show. But this does feel like it's on the same production level as things like Lord of the Rings, except that it's in a double post-apocalyptic society. Again, the production values on this were incredible. The set designs were great. The costumes were fantastic. The props looked spectacular. The visual effects were outstanding. Everything blended together really well. The creature designs were great. I think the makeup was good. I didn't see anything atrocious there really. Again, some of the visual effects, even though that they were amazing, there were one or two whereby I was like, well, okay, I'll give you a break on that one, because you know there are movies that don't have visual effects of this quality. So I liked all that. This show, without sounding too negative, I'll get to that a little bit later, trust me. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but without sounding too negative, this show kind of makes you realise that they could have made a Legend of Zelda movie, and it would have worked. It really did make me feel that way. It really made me go, do you know what, I can now see what everybody's on about. That whole Legends of Zelda movie should have happened. So I like the casting. I thought, you know, the casting of Manu Bennett and John Rhys Davies I thought was good. Some of the acting in this show, however, not so good. And to say that it felt a little bit soap opera at times might be doing people who work on soap operas a little bit of an injustice. But overall, it was a pretty solid performance out of everyone. There was nothing really ropey going on. Now and again there was the odd, you know, they should have done a couple more takes, but overall the quality of the performances I felt was you know, good enough for a TV show, definitely, particularly the time frame that they had to spend on it. Again, the photography of the show looked spectacular. They weren't trying to do any short angles or tight angles or anything like that. They were letting you see the world that they've created. The sound I thought was good. The actual music score I thought was very interesting. There were times when it was sort of tribal, and there were times when it was almost sort of poppy. There was a real mix of scores going on in there. Again, the sound design I thought was good for some of the creatures, and some of the sound effects that you got from when magic was being used and things like that. There was a lot of real good stuff going on in this episode. Now, as for what I consider to be some of the bad things in this episode, again, some of the acting was just, it just felt like a soap opera at times, and that's, I'm going to leave that aside because I think I've already covered that. Here's the thing about this episode. if you watch this show, you'll be about 4 minutes in, and you're gonna go, haven't I seen this before? And for me, as somebody who's never read the Shannara books, I'm just purely looking at this as what they put on screen as to the story that they decided to show. And yeah, this show feels like it was sort of a spoonful of sort of Wizard of Oz, a spoonful of Planet of the Apes, a spoonful of Lord of the Rings, and then somebody walked over and tipped a bucket of Star Wars gravy over it. Because wow, I mean, there was a point in this show where I was left bewildered as to how this show isn't being sued. I stated before that after seeing The Force Awakens, that this is the second time in 4 weeks that I've seen episode 4 being remade. Essentially, the plot to Shannara Chronicles right now is about a young farm boy who leaves the farm and his uncle and meets up with a wizard who's going to teach him the ways of the Force. Sorry, magic. And they go off on a quest to rescue a gutsy princess who they're going to need to get together to help fight a dark empire led by another wizard who used to be good but has turned to the dark side. Let's just call him Darth Spock, okay? It's just, wow, I was like, sweet Jesus. You know, this, they're not just touching base here, they firmly kicking the shit out of it. It just, again, it was fun to watch. I'm not taking it away from the show, but man, do they really lay on the Star Wars stuff. I mean, obviously they didn't know what was going to happen with The Force Awakens, but, you know, clearly, you know, they knew what they were making. And, like I said, it was good performances out of Mara Bennett, good performances out of John Rhys Davis, and it just left me... I can't really say any more about the episode, really. There's nothing else to say. I think I've covered everything, and that's the shame. I wish I had more to talk about, but once you've talked about how good the landscapes are and how good the visuals are, that's pretty much it, because Star Wars says it all. And again, there are elements of Wizard of Oz here. You know, they mentioned the gnomes, the trolls, and the rovers. It's like, shit, you know, all you're missing is an Emerald City and the Yellow Brick Road. And since the palace of the elves kind of is the Emerald City, I think you've got that covered. The other thing that I would think about in this episode is that it's knowing how evolution works. This isn't just in the far future, this is millions of years in the future. You know, for a whole society of elves, gnomes and trolls to evolve and with magic and everything, it's just like, it's too far in the future for me to believe that there's a helicopter rusting in a field. It's like, no, that would have been dust by now. And buildings that have crumbled, I can believe that a few buildings here or there may have survived, you know, a long period, but, you know, they would be more than just crumbling buildings. They would be devastated. You know, there'd be one or two bricks here or there, which used to be the foundations, but really nothing. For it to be that far in the future, and it's got to be more than 10,000 years. It's got to be more than 100,000 years. It's got to be more. It's something like 1 million years in the future. So it just left me sort of wondering, you know, does this show even know what it is? Does the actual premise of the show know what it is? Because it seems to be an eclectic collection of all different sorts of things shoved into this one package and gone, there you go, have that. You know, you'll accept it. It's got wizards. It's, yeah, it's not my thing. You know, it could have been really good. I think they don't need to set this as post-apocalyptic. They could have done it, you in ancient Earth times. They could have. I know they're trying to get away from the familiarity of Lord of the Rings, but they're kind of using it as a selling point. So, I there's nothing about this show that screams originality to me. It's very, very amalgamous, this show. It's very much an amalgamation of all the stuff. They've just cherry-picked bits from other shows and stuck it together, and then, like I said, poured Star Wars over the top of it. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the Shannara Chronicles. Let me know down in the comments down below what you think of this show. Do you think I'm being a bit mean, or have I got it right here? So just let me know exactly what you think about the Shannara Chronicles if you've seen it. Also, feel free to subscribe to this channel or go over and join me on Google+. But until next time, I'll see you later, guys.